Space as we know it is filled with several phenomena that we are yet to discover. Although scientists have uncovered the mysteries behind some of the strange occurrences detected in space, there are still unexplored regions that haven't been investigated in the final frontier. As scientists and astronomers moved to check some of these unexplored places, they discovered an area characterized by a ton of signs. Upon investigation, these signs were seen to be messages left for us by advanced civilizations. What could this message be? How did scientists discover it? Could it be a threat from aliens? Join us as we explore why physicists claim that advanced civilizations have been leaving us messages in this region of space. Have you ever thought about the possibility of life existing on other planets? Well, you're not alone. In fact, decades of research and tools have gone down this lane, all in a bid to find out if there are other life forms existing in our universe, or if we're the only ones existing under the billions of light years of starry sky hanging above us. For this reason, several scientists have been keen on finding multiple sources to discover if there are other life forms existing in our universe. In the course of extensive research, one of the physicists, Terry Rudolph, postulated a theory. Rudolph's theory suggested that life could exist on other planets, and these advanced civilizations have been trying to reach out to humans by communicating. He proposed that an advanced civilization could change the light coming off of stars and use it to communicate across huge distances to other planets. With his paper titled "Perhaps They Are Everywhere," he theorized how undetectable distributed quantum computation and communication for alien civilizations could be established using thermal light from stars. Being a renowned physicist, he used quite a bit of dense physics to explain how entangled photons belonging to different stars could be altered to transmit a particular message. A photon is a small elementary particle and is used as the basic unit of all light. These photons are what Rudolph suggests that advanced civilizations have studied and known how to use, like a smoke signal or even the starlight version of Morse code. Humans here on Earth might just keep looking and admiring the stars as we stare at them, not knowing their starlight Morse code, except our scientists and physicists can decode what each twinkle pattern of the star means. Before Rudolph talked about this technical possibility in physics, the thoughts of advanced civilizations existing alongside humans had filled several brilliant minds. Most scientists, especially physicists across the world, kept finding possible answers to unraveling the question about other existing life forms for many years. One of the physicists, Frank Drake, then explored this largely unanswered question and developed a mathematical equation to solve it. This equation by Frank Drake was created to obtain the number of intelligent civilizations situated within the boundaries held by the consequent factors, in the case of humans, the Milky Way galaxy. The letter N in the equation stands as the number of intelligent civilizations to be found. R in the equation is the rate of formation of stars that could possibly permit the development of intelligence of nearby planets. Other variables represent the fraction of said stars that actually have planetary systems, as well as the number of planets in a solar system with an environment that could sustain life. Some variables also represent the said planets that do sustain life, and another is the division of life-sustaining planets on which intelligent life forms are detected. Another section represents the intelligent civilizations that have lived long enough to modify communication technology to the point of sending their existence through signals into space. And L is the length of time that these civilizations transmitted these signals before they stopped existing. The regularly quoted numbers of these variables shorten the equation to n equals L over 10. As a civilization of humans, we have been transmitting into space since 1974. Based on this equation, even if we cease to exist as a species in 2074, there would be 10 advanced civilizations in our galaxy alone. Scientists also try to break down these numbers using the Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale divides advanced life into 3 categories, namely Type 1 civilizations, Type 2 civilizations, and Type 3 civilizations. Type 1 civilizations are able to utilize all the energy available on their home planet for several purposes. This is the category scientists say human civilization is approaching. Most scientists agree with this because we are currently at 0.7 on the Kardashev scale, with a full Type 1 being about a century off. Type 2 civilizations have the ability to control and channel all the energy of their host star, while Type 3 civilizations have access to power equivalent to that of their host galaxy. Even before the Kardashev scale and the Drake equation came forth, a lot of scientists were absolutely assured that there were multiple advanced civilizations that existed with us but scattered across the Milky Way galaxy. It wasn't until a lunchtime conversation between astrophysicists that doubt was cast upon the old theories, and the results of that conversation continue to dispute even contemporary mindsets. The conversation that kicked off theories about the possibility of advanced civilizations existing took place in 1950 when Enrico Fermi and his colleagues were talking about the existence of alien life over lunch. The question that Fermi directed to the table became well known as it was simple. He addressed the table simply saying, "Where is everybody?" The room became quiet as everyone continued to have their lunch because nobody had an answer to Fermi's question, and it became known as the Fermi paradox. Basically, the question was meant to criticize the idea of interstellar travel, a possibility of which Fermi wasn't certain. However, the question still remains: if there were hundreds of advanced civilizations scattered across the stars, why haven't we heard from them? It was from these questions the Drake equation and the Kardashev scale was derived from. Since the Milky Way is approximately 10 billion years old and 100,000 light-years across, and if aliens had spaceships that could travel at 1% of the speed of light, the galaxy would have already been colonized 1,000 times. But why haven't we heard from any other life then? That very question is the Fermi paradox. The Fermi paradox has derived numerous explanations for the silence we've experienced, but some scientists believe that silence is the outcome of something they've devised. They regard it as the Great Filter, an evolutionary wall impenetrable to most life forms. For these scientists, there are two fundamental possibilities concerning the Great Filter. It's either in front of us or behind us. If it's behind us, scientists have theorized that it may have occurred with the creation of life itself, or at the jump from single-cell prokaryotes to multicellular eukaryotes. Regardless, it shows us that we are a scarce case and that communication isn't happening because we are one of very few, if any, survivors. On the other hand, if the Great Filter is ahead of us, then we are not getting any form of communication because advanced civilizations have hit the wall and stopped existing. This means at one point we would also hit that wall. More theories about this literal radio silence came forth from other scientists as well. Some postulated that maybe most of the universe is colonized and communicating, but we're stuck in a desolate region far from the action. It could also be that Type 3 civilizations are not bothered about communicating with an inferior civilization like us. If they have all the power of an entire galaxy, maybe they are not perplexed by us and our handheld cell phones. Some scientists and physicists even believe that the lack of communication might be due to the existence of a predator species of which intelligent civilizations are scared, and thus they withdraw from emitting such signals so as not to reveal their location. The general agreement, however, is that if there are others out there transmitting signals, we're probably just listening wrong. We don't have the suitable technology or understanding of the universe to receive or decode any of the messages just yet. However, there is still a chance it's just us. According to the Drake equation, if a civilization could live at least a century after innovating transmission technology, there could be 10 civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy alone. But what if they couldn't live for 100 years after coming up with this technology? As we start to develop our own transmission technology, we also develop nuclear power, advance the warming of the climate, and exhaust our food sources with overpopulation. Is it such a stretch to say that perhaps an advanced civilization cannot live for 100 years after innovating space-penetrating transmission technology? If so, we can recreate the Drake equation and the answer changes excessively. If civilizations can typically survive for only 10 years after developing this technology, then n equals 1, meaning that we may be the only intelligent life in our galaxy or even the entire universe. However, here's a thought. If humans eventually found alien life, how would we react to it? Michael Varnum, a psychologist at Arizona State University and member of its new interplanetary initiative, tried to predict a response. One of the initial questions of this initiative that we're curious about is how we might respond if we find evidence of extraterrestrial life, he said. In order to find an answer to this question, Varnum conducted 3 experiments in conjunction with some planetary scientists. The psychologist and his co-authors made a critical distinction between reactions to the discovery of extraterrestrial intelligence and discovering evidence for microbial life beyond Earth, said Douglas Vakoch, president of the non-profit group Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence, who was not part of the study. This work is unusual, he said, as studies in the past have focused solely on intelligent life. In the initial experiment of the study, Varnum and his co-authors examined how the media covers extraterrestrial discoveries. They reviewed 5 events: the discovery of pulsars in 1967, which were not immediately recognized as natural; Ohio astronomer Jerry Ammon's detection of the WOW radio signal in 1977, which the signal source remains disputed; the 1996 proclamation of fossilized microbes in a Martian meteorite; the strange behavior of Tabby's star that was announced in 2015, and 2017's discoveries of exoplanets that exist within distant habitable zones. The psychologists also digested 15 articles by the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, The Post, and others through a program that analyzes written content for positive or negative words. They found that journalists described these events using words with positive affect more frequently. From their research, the reaction seemed to be a lot more positive than negative. The team of researchers also paid online participants to give responses to announcements about extraterrestrial microbes. They asked 500 people to explain their reactions to a hypothetical discovery of alien microorganisms. These respondents were also asked to suggest how humans would react to the discovery globally. Just like the journalists that reported news of extraterrestrial evidence, people in the study also used positive words. And there were no characteristics that set responses apart, not a person's ethnicity, income, political orientation, or traits such as neuroticism or agreeableness. But the people did suggest that the rest of the country would be generally less agreeable. However, Varnum proposed that the reason for these responses was because Americans tend to assume that they're better than the average person, despite any desirable trait or ability. Other people, like Lindy Elkins Tanton, a planetary scientist who is the director of Arizona State University's initiative, had different opinions about Varnum's suggestion. Although Lindy wasn't directly involved with the study, she suggested that it was a good step to see that scientists are getting prepared for whatever they find in space. Also, getting positive responses from Americans sounded quite hopeful. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.